Hello viewers, welcome back. So this is part 4 of our F12 configuration of masters in Tally Prime, which is part of the playlist of Magic of Tally. So in this session, we will see the other configurations. In the earlier 3 sessions, we saw the basic configuration where by default you will have those configurations the moment you create a company. Now, another important thing that I want to mention here is that we know that we are doing the F12 configuration, understanding of each options of the configuration for masters, right? Now, again, if you see the masters, we know that we have one accounting master and inventory master. Under accounting master, we have group master creation or alteration, ledger master creation or alteration. Then again, we have under inventory, we have stock group creation master alteration, stock item creation master and alteration. So this past 3 sessions and the next couple of sessions that we will be seeing will be related to accounting master, ledger master creation or alter, because the F12 master configuration will differ from each type of master. Now, for all of your benefit, in one of my previous session, I had covered the F12 configuration for the accounting group master, which I will give you the detail on above the information session. If you want to see the understand the configuration of accounting group master, I had captured that in 3 parts where I have covered the group master creation configuration understanding for in Tally Prime and also in Tally.ERP. So this is an exclusive session where we will be doing on Tally Prime, as I mentioned earlier, and then we will have a separate session on Tally.ERP also. Okay. So now we will continue with the Ledger Master F12 configuration or the Magic of F12 configuration for Ledger Master creation. Under Ledger Master configuration, if you see here, we have this configuration screen. So by enabling this option, show more configuration, when you make this as yes, you will have more configurations which will get enabled or which will be visible for all of you. And we will first try and understand briefly that what are the additional options that gets enabled when you activate this button, show more configuration, right? So the first one that you will see here is provide description for ledgers and provide notes for ledgers, right? The next one that you will see is provide credit limit, and we have already discussed about the credit limit in detail in our bill-wise detail. Then what is the next option that is going to get enabled by enabling this option as yes? The next one is select type of ledger for auto calculation, values in invoice mode, cash and trade discount or invoice rounding off. Again, in the previous session, I had shown you how you can create a rounding off ledger and how Tally will automatically take care of your rounding off of the fraction value. The next one that you will see is provide percentage calculation and rounding off method for auto calculation during the voucher entry. So here again, we will see that if you want to provide some kind of a cash or a trade discount where you can specify a percentage of discount or an absolute value of discount amount, how do you handle that in those kind of a situation? So that is available in the more configuration option. The next one is you will have under the banking, you have another option, provide effective date of bank reconciliation for bank ledger. So we will understand all this in detail with a use case, and also the steps, and all. We will also see the impact or the result of enabling this option in the product also. The next one, with the GST enabled, you have various options under taxation module, which includes your GST, TDS, and TCS. So we will see all this options. So in this session, we will try and understand these two options, which is provide description for ledger and provide notes for ledger. Now let us see in Tally the impact of these options. Okay, so I go to create ledger, right, and F12 configuration. So I'm going to press F12 configuration, right? So this is by default, these two option is going to be no, and we will enable one by one, and then we will see the impact. Okay, so what is this provide description for ledger? Especially people who are in the service industry, you create a ledger, right? But then apart from selecting the ledger, see, we also know that in Tally, we can create an accounting invoice, which means from within Tally, if you are going to raise an invoice for your client as a chartered accountant, or as a tax practitioner, or as a consultant, where you will not have inventory items, right? And it is not necessary for you to create a stock item for your professional charges or consultancy charges or accounting charges, just because you have to raise an invoice from within Tally, which is going to be completely compliant with the GST requirement also, right? So you can actually use your accounting ledger to raise a tax invoice to your clients. For example, let us say you have a ledger called professional charges, or you would have created a ledger called consultancy charges, or you have created a ledger called audit fee, whatever is the case, right? So some of you would have independent sales ledger or direct income ledger created for each of your services that you are going to render to your customers or clients. Or you might have a single ledger called professional charges, or you will say consultancy charges, right? But then when you raise this invoice to your customer, uh, you have to provide some additional information, right? So that it becomes clear for your client to know the exact intent of your raising of your tax invoice to your client. Okay, now this is where the description for ledger is going to help you in Tally. By enabling this option, you can, one is that you're enabling this option in the master. So you create a ledger, and whatever is the additional information that generally you are going to capture for all the invoices that you are going to raise to your client, you can capture that additional description in the master itself, so that every time when you are invoicing your client using this particular ledger, the additional information will give more clarity to the client on the invoice. Okay, so that is where the additional description is going to help. So let's enable this option, provide description for ledger. So you make this as yes. So I'm going to say Control A, and let us say I'm going to create a ledger called professional charges. All right. So now here, let's say I maintain books for my clients. Okay, so maybe on a monthly basis, or a one-time assignment that I'm going to do, where I want to capture this additional information in my tax invoice. So I'm going to now type this invoice as a standard information or as a standard description. Okay, so I'm going to now say accounting charges for the um, for the for the period. So you can just type whatever is convenient, and don't worry when you're raising your invoice. This is, it is like predefined template description that you are giving in the master. So what, during the invoice, you also have an option to add additional information, or if you want to modify this to a specific need of a tax invoice for a particular client, you can go and modify this also. So I'm going to capture this, and I'm going to say Control A. And now let us see how we are going to use this option. So you go to come back, and then I'm going to go to voucher, and I am in the sales voucher. And if you notice here, this is in the item invoice, right? So whenever you see the title here as name of item, that means basically you are going to raise an item invoice using your inventory, right? So but now we are going to raise an accounting invoice. So what am I going to do? So remember your secret number one. So come here and then click on change mode, and then come to accounting invoice, enter here. And how do you know that you are in the accounting invoice? The title here, now it will say particulars, right? So you're going to enter here. So whatever reference number you can enter, and then let's say you're going to select a particular party, right? So save it here, and here is what you are going to select your professional charges, right? So enter. Now if you see here, the description what we have captured in the master comes by default automatically, right? So now you can go and modify this, and also if you want to add additional, you can go and add additional. But you have to remember that there is one option under your F12 configuration in your voucher entry creation, which is where it is now going to allow you to do this. So if you want to modify or add additional description as an exceptional case, just again remember your F12 configuration, which is your secret number two, and an option here, you will have an option, this option, provide additional. Let me just 1 minute. This option, okay, provide additional description for ledger. If you make this as yes, it is going to allow you, it will pop out in your invoice just now what we saw, right? So this is by default is yes. So now come here. If this is not S, then what happens? Now if this is not S, then whatever description that you have entered in the master, it is now going to print it in your invoice. But only thing is that you cannot modify, or you cannot add additional description, because in your voucher entry F12 configuration you have not set up this additional description for your ledger master. Just you have to just remember that. Okay, so I'm going to select this, and let's say I'm going to enter 30,000, enter. Okay, and then you are going to save this voucher. Okay, the bill wise, new reference, okay, and all those entry, accept, right? So now let us see how does your invoice looks like with the additional description. So you just press page up. It is going to bring your previously saved voucher, right? So now you're going to say printing is Control P. It will print your current form, whatever is on the display, right? So you have this preview. So I'm going to enter on this preview, and you will see here the additional description is automatically getting reflected. So this way you can have multiple additional descriptions, which gives more clarity to your client on your description of your invoice, or for your professional work, the kind of professional work that you have already done. So with this example, you can use this description for various use cases depending on your organizational requirement. Okay, so this is what an important thing that you have to remember in case if this is not getting displayed, right? So what you need to do is just, so in case you're not getting this accounting, the description here, then you have to go to configuration, click on configuration, and now this is all lot of options that are there, which we will again get into detail when we come to this configuration during the printing part. But then quickly see this option here, the option here, which is show additional description for ledger, right? Show additional description for ledger. This has to be yes. If this is yes, then while printing, it is going to show that additional description while printing also. For some reason, you don't want to give any additional description, even though you have created a description in your master as a standard template. If you don't want the description to be printed for a particular invoice of your client, then make sure that you, before you print, you come to the configuration and then make this option as yes. So once you make this as option as yes, then you will get this thing. Hit Control A. Now come to preview. I am going to preview this. It is going to show here. And let me just quickly come to configuration and then say show additional description for ledger. I'm going to say no. Now in this configuration, you don't have to press yes or no. Now this is a toggle button. Wherever there is yes, no, it's a toggle button. So for you to disable this, just press enter, it becomes no. If you want to enable, just press enter, it becomes yes. So I'm going to disable this. Now you can press Control A or you can press escape. It doesn't matter. It will retain your configuration there. Now when I come to preview, you will notice here that my additional description is not getting displayed in my invoice. So that is about our additional description option in your F12 configuration for your accounting master ledger. Right. So what is the next option? So let's just go to the same ledger. I'm going to go to alter. I'm going to select my ledger, and then I'm going to select professional charges, just now that we created. So we have this additional ledger. So if you want to change something, then you can go and change it here. It becomes a standard description. Now let's go to the F12 configuration again, and then see provide notes for ledger. So you make this as yes. What happens? Let us see. Now you will have an additional field here for you to capture any additional information which are relevant for that particular master that you want to capture for future reference, right? So this is where, and this is purely a text field where you can go and enter. This is the field for capturing any notes you want for future reference. That's it, right? So this, and this is not going to get printed in your invoice and other thing, right? So this is an additional information that you are going to capture. So when you come to the master, or if you want to know any special instruction that you have, and these things are going to be very helpful when we are going to go into the inventory master F12 configuration. So that is where these fields will be more relevant for business. Nevertheless, you will also use this, you can use this description and notes for your ledger also. So that's about the notes part. So we have seen this additional description for ledger, and we have also seen provide notes for ledger. And the other option, which is provide credit limit, I had mentioned earlier that we already know about this. So in the next session, we will see this very interesting option under F12 configuration for the ledger, where we can see how can you enable this option and use for cash or trade discount, and also how you can specify a percentage of a discount that you want to provide as a standard discount, or you can basically specify this on the fly. It is not necessary that you have to enter. So all this, what are the different um, scenarios of discount that you can manage in Tally is what we will see in our next session. So thank you all very much for staying till the end. See you all in the next session. Thank you very much.